a plethora of different manifestations, ideas, generations, and, characterizations and personifications. So, meditation too is a composition of several 4-5 different compositions and concepts from meditations, Medusa, Marcus Aurelius' manifestation, and mythology. And of course, we are running, which I should say, by the way, of those core themes we have. It's like a digital respite shelter, a time capsule, a place to retrieve from the world, in a place of tranquility and serenity, away from the chaos and pathology and psychopathy and the cruelty in the world, quietly into ASMR. A bit of a mixture of artificial intelligence and virtual paradoxy, contradiction, a living contradiction and manifestation. So today's topic, again, is going to be, if you see on the title, OSAP and NIH. OSAP being, we'll cover that being student loans if you are ever a student for university or college. And then the one is, of course, it's interesting that I've had to apply again. And the other one is OSAP versus NIH. NIH being the National Institute for Health Care and Medicine in my particular country. So OSAP versus NIH in this game 8 of 9 of a batch uploads in a series. So without further ado, again, we are posted onto several platforms as a podcast, as a video format, as well as live stream. Right now we're being live streamed right now around 11 p.m. EST, Toronto GTA, and then as well as 2 uploads. Two uploads every weekly Friday, 6 a.m. in the morning. So let's just dive right into it. Again, just 5-minute episodes, nothing more, 10-minute episodes, less than 5 minutes. So today, what we're going to cover is just very briefly several interfaces or browser tabs that have been left open, and they're open because we actually didn't have, we wanted to save them, and they were dysfunctional because I disconnected from the internet. By the time they had certain types of content and topics that were worth covering. And so the first one is, I want to slow down a bit, Ontario Student Assistance Program loans. And if you have, I don't know if it's applicable for those in the States, in Australia, and Russia, and wherever you're from Latin America, you have government-sponsored loans and ways of funding education for students. Aside from international students as well, for domestic students, you'll have social assistance programs for you to afford to get a college degree, a diploma, or a university degree, whether it's a master's, PhD, or a bachelor's. And so this is the program for the specific province that I'm living in. So they call that OSAP. Now, of course, if you can see on the interface right now, it says, and I quote it right now on the very top left. If you're on live stream, it's on the top left. But if it's on the right, it's if the video or Spotify episode podcast, it's on the right. But it says, and I quote, "Looks like there is a problem with your internet connection," and that's just because I, don't have any use for it anyways. If I switch tabs, by the way, which I'm not going to because they all look exactly the same, there's going to be a different display for different websites. So the second one would be OSAP. In this case, it's government and education funding. And then the other one would be medicine. So NIH, and that relevance for me, obviously, when it comes to OSAP, that's because I had to compose a letter as well as fill out an application form in order to see whether or not this institution is eligible for financing. Now, the other prospect, OSAP versus NIH being a partnership with a local medical institute, a very highly regarded, multiple synergistic institutes come together. You can think of, in my area, the GTA, it would be Princess Margaret Mount Sinai, TGH, or General Hospital, and Western. And then there's the Rehabilitation Center. So together they form a system that you reach in, and basically partnered with it is when I went to take a lab test, and I had several tests, and it was very irritating. Eventually I had a point where I could go and check my results, and when I did, there were, certain things that were abnormal test results. So, for example, let's say a certain enzyme, AST, ASL, arginine, transductase, reductase, or whatever, and those stand for, of course, are part of a series of diagnostic tests that you may have that may point to certain conditions or diseases or what have you. And so I'll click on one of them, and an interface pops up. So for OSAP, the interface pops up if you want to. You're going through the application process online, and there will be all these question marks, so you can click on them. It'll pop up an interface that shows you, for example, if you're wondering about how they calculate or estimate the amount of loans and funding that you will acquire or receive from the provincial government or the state government. So there's a little question mark for you to ask help, and then the interface pops up, or a new browser tab pops up. In this case, for NIH, it's if you want to see more information about a certain condition, or like what's a good one, like Crohn's disease or IBS or diabetes mellitus, whatever, right? Or if you want to learn more about a certain diagnostic tests like CAT scans or and so forth, you could click on the help question, and a new interface pops up. And I was looking forward to seeing what, and I did. I read it, and then of course I lost connection at this point. So without further ado, I think that's about it. That's all we're covering here. It's really 2-3 tabs. I think there's one more I could mention, but there's no need for me to change anything on screen, so it's very easy. So one of them was NIH, the other one was OSAP, and the first one was just Mozilla. It's just a browser. It's disconnected, but it's just a browser tab to Mozilla Firefox after the browser was updated. So that being said, that's everything. It's just boom, 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 1, 2, 3, browser, Mozilla Firefox, OSAP 1, 2, student loans and financing, and thirdly, medical related stuff having to do with diagnostic tests and certain conditions, and the interfaces that all came with it. So that being said, if this ever brought up anything that's relevant or interesting or brings up certain things happening that are going on and that you feel you can share, feel free to just drop that in the comments on YouTube, on Twitch, or whatever, or Spotify. And without further ado, we're going to make our last batch, game 9 of 9. That's in the next episode. I'll see you there. Yeah, cheers. I'm enjoying this too much, honestly. It's getting late.